Okay, so now we're going to use the tangent ratio to find an angle. So let's get right into an example again. So let's say I want to find out what this angle right here is, and I know that I've got 10 and 16 for my side lengths here. I start out by labeling my triangle again. This is my right angle. That makes this over here my hypotenuse. This is my angle that I'm trying to find. It's the angle of interest. The side that's across from that is going to be the side that's labeled as 10, so the opposite is right here. The adjacent is next to the angle that you're looking for. It's the other side that's left over. This is 16. I know that the tan of my angle is always opposite over adjacent. So since I don't know what the angle is in this case, I'll just leave that as tan x equals opposite over adjacent. So my opposite side length is 10, and my adjacent side length is 16. Okay. So now what I can do is I can take 10 and divide it by 16 on my calculator. So that's pretty straightforward to do. So I would just take clear that stuff. So take 10 divided by 16, and that gives me 0.625. So I know that what this really tells me is that whatever this angle is gives me a ratio between these two sides of 0.625. So now all I need to do is to find out what angle gives me that ratio. Okay? So to find out what the angle is, what I'm going to be doing is trying to solve for x here. So I need to get rid of this tan stuff. So the simple explanation here is if I'm finding an angle, that instead of taking my regular tan, I need to take what's called the inverse tan. So I don't know if you can see here, but on my tan button, just above it, I've got in yellow tan with a little -1 on it. That's called the inverse tan. So what I'm going to do is take the 0.625 and take the inverse tangent of that. So this is how it's written. You don't need to write this step here, but I can say that x is going to be the inverse tan of 0.625. Okay? Then that tells me that my answer will be, alright, on my calculator I need to type in my inverse tan first and then type in my 0.625. So as we mentioned, the inverse tan is in yellow, so I need to hit my second function button and then the inverse tan button, and I type in the 0.625. Your calculator, you may need to type in the 0.625 first and then hit your second function button or your shift button and then the tan button. Okay? Whatever this button up here on the top left is called on your calculator. So now I can just press enter, and my calculator is telling me that the angle that gives me a ratio of 0.625 is almost 32 degrees right on the dot. So we'll say x is equal to 32 degrees in this case. Okay? Let's do one more really quickly. A second example. Let's say we've got we want to find this one up here, and I don't know, we've got 30 and 42. Okay, so now I again start by labeling my triangle. This is my right angle. My hypotenuse is over here. My angle that I'm looking for is here. That makes this down here the opposite. This side that's next to the angle is the adjacent side. So I know that the tangent of the angle that I'm finding is equal to opposite over adjacent. Alright, I don't know what x is, so I'll just leave it as tan x for now. Fill out my opposite side length, which is 30. Fill out my adjacent side length, which is 42. And now I know that I can just divide 30 by 42. So clear that stuff. 30 divided by 42. I'll have to round this a little bit, I suppose. So I'll say that tan x is equal to 0.714 approximately. I recommend keeping at least 3 or 4 decimal places anyway. So now I know that x is going to be the inverse tangent of 0.714. So I can hit my shift button, hit my tan button, and then type in my 0.714 and press equals. So that returns a value of 35.5 degrees. So that tells me that that angle is 35.5 degrees. Okay?